celebrating 25 years of networking for a greener Africa. For all these years, we've been working to improve the livelihoods of smallholder farmers and sustainability of farming communities by fostering ecological land use management. We work in over 104 districts of the country with 60 members, and as we mark the 25 years of existence, this week we are doing a number of activities, including media engagements, heavily making use of the media because of the COVID period where not many people can gather. We want the message to go out there that agroecology can lead to resilient food systems. And we have also seen this during COVID. Like for the farmers who are involved in agroecological farming, they had the food diversity, they had the seeds, they didn't have to be dependent on external inputs or external sources. So we find that it's a resilient farming system. And we have also launched a 2.5 million tree planting campaign, which we launched on Tuesday at Botanical Gardens, together with the Plant Genetic Resources Center that is under the National Agricultural Research Organization. We had this launch of the tree planting campaign because we feel that as we mark 25 years, we need to make a significant contribution to conservation and preservation of our diversity when it comes to trees. We are focusing on indigenous trees, agroforestry trees, and fruit trees. And on that particular day, we planted 500 trees at the Botanical Gardens to be able to increase on the diversity of what the gardens already had. We're going to have these trees planted all over the country and working directly with other partners like government and local governments, but also with our membership that is countrywide to see that we have more trees on the farms, that there's an integration of forestry and agriculture that is resulting into improving our agroecosystems that will provide an atmosphere for sustainable agriculture to happen over the years. And today we have our second National Agroecology Actors Symposium, where we've brought together stakeholders from different sectors, and we are having in-depth discussions on agroecology and how we can scale it up further as a country. We have had FAO on board, which has a scaling up agroecology initiative that is global, and we are responding to that call. But by seeing that agroecology is scaled up in Uganda, we are also responding to the African Union Ecological Organic Agriculture decision to mainstream, to have it mainstreamed in agricultural systems. So these international and regional decisions and frameworks are informing our discussions today, but of course contextualized to Uganda to see how we can integrate agroecology in extension, encourage participation of the young people, and also how we can have seed issues come out clearly. We have an issue of our farmers struggling to access good quality seed, and we have had interventions around building farmer-managed seed systems so that farmers can have access to good quality seed within their communities. And so we want to highlight that today because agroecological systems promote consideration of food culture and traditions. And we've been doing this over the years, and we've seen, and it has directly contributed to increase in agricultural biodiversity. You find that farmers have more diversified farms and are also embracing practices that build resilience to their farming systems, even in light of challenges such as COVID, such as climate change, land degradation, and so on. You find that the farmers have over time been able to build their capacity around resilience.
All distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, I want all of us to thank God for keeping you amidst these challenges. You have the COVID in the whole of the world. You have the desert locusts affecting our crops, our organic crops, in various parts of Africa, where Uganda is also part, in the northeastern part of Uganda, and the north, the National Steering Committee, and of myself as the Assistant Commissioner of Crop Production, appreciate PELAM Uganda for spearheading this initiative of the agroecology in Uganda. Members, you are aware of the issues surrounding the agroecology. We are affected on issues of land degradation, climate variabilities, and influx of pests and diseases in most of these important crops that we want to value for organic agriculture. Because of that, then there is a need for us to specialize and take note on agroecology. Because it does issues on sustainable agricultural production and productivity. You also have issues of building resilience of communities against the various challenges, specifically poverty. I am happy that among our partners, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has been scaling up the agroecology heavily in our region and in our country. And there has been a lot of collaboration between PELAM Uganda and civil society in this development. I don't want to forget what Mahiv, the Minister of Agriculture, is doing for this. Good news to you is that the National Agriculture Organic Policy was passed and approved in 2019. Means now we have our Bible that we always refer to. From those policies and legal frameworks, apart from that, we also hold others, to mention the National Agricultural Policy of 2003, the National Agricultural Extension Policy of 2016, the National Seed Policy of 2018, the National Fertilizer Policy of 2020, Agricultural Sector Strategic Plan 2 and 3 to come, and the National Development Plan 3 that is being implemented in 5 years. Now, this is cascaded down to the grassroots and to the farmers. We are also aware of the policy reform that government of Uganda recently coiled out a single spine extension services system, where the Directorate of Agricultural Extension was created, specifically to build the capacity of the farmers. And one of the key things there is agroecology. And as we talk now, we have over 4,000 extension workers recruited by government, working hand in hand with extension workers of the civil society organizations. That gives us a ratio of 1 extension worker to 1,800. The World Bank standard is 1 to 1,500. Means that there is already a gap. There is a challenge that we need to fill this gap such that we achieve our objective of scaling up the national agroecology in our region. The ministry from that will be willing to partner and cooperate with you using those legal frameworks, and also creation of specific departments and sectors that are working directly on this. We have the crop production department that is purely on organic agriculture. And then we have extension directorate, which is purely for building capacities of the farmers. We also partner with NARO that we do a lot of conservation, specifically on the gene bank for crops that NARO is hosting. And we also prioritize the technology development with the National Organization, Research Organization. And we have 12 and more. Basically, all of them are organic in nature. And we also do a lot of sustainable land management. Members, you see the willingness that the government of Uganda has injected into supporting this initiative. And now, Pelham Uganda and partners are scaling up this. I want to say thank you, members, for that. Everybody is willing to do, and I always believe in the principle of doing it yourself. Because extension work is going where the farmer is. Ladies and gentlemen, those are my remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, for those remarks. May I now invite the chairperson of EOA, IRSC, Professor Charles Sechewa, to make his remarks as well.
The FAO representative, the Minister of Agriculture, representatives of development partners here with us, members of the civil society, the academia, farmers, all actors, distinguished delegates, and protocol observed. I'm privileged to stand here before you and share with you a few insights about agroecology. More so, today is a very important day as we remember the good work that Pelham has done on our continent. As we celebrate their survival in 25 years, you know very well that in Africa, often we start so many initiatives, and most of them disappear in thin air. We are privileged to have Pelham Uganda and other Pelhams in the region still surviving to date. Some of you are wondering why organic agriculture, then we start talking about agroecology, and then we also talk about ecological organic agriculture. I think as we celebrate 25 years of some of our distinguished actors, we need this very well clarified. The term organic agriculture featured on the African continent around the early 1990s. And it was a result of a scare of the Sahara Desert spreading south. A number of other practices were also initiated at the time. As we went along with organic agriculture, we wanted it to spread far and near. We wanted it to grow in the world. And we, in the process, encountered a number of hindrances. And as the International Federation for Organic Agriculture led this activity, negotiations were made with the United Nations and particularly the FAO to have representation at the FAO headquarters, which was started by Dr. Nadia Skiaraba as the representative of the organic movement in the world, at the AFAO headquarters. And as developments went on, it was agreed that instead of using the term organic agriculture, we adopt the term agroecology, which was more embracing, and that we had to take on other forms of agriculture that actually were organic agriculture in nature, but had been termed otherwise. And so, to compromise and grow our concept worldwide, we finally adopted the term agroecology, and agroecology since then has been spearheaded by the FAO. In the region and on the African continent, chaired by the African Union and with the activism of key stakeholders in the region, we felt that we needed to come up with a term that again would be more acceptable to many actors. And we dropped the term organic agriculture per se and embraced the term ecological organic agriculture. So all these terms actually mean the same in action, but they emerged as a result of creating harmony, as a result of taking care of our various interests, so that we can all move together as we grow organic agriculture, as we grow agroecology, as we grow ecological organic agriculture on the continent. I believe that from today onwards, we shall all have this very well understood. However, as we scale up, we have another dimension of agroecology, and this is the scientific dimension, which is often forgotten. But we on the African continent, and particularly in East Africa, and more so in Uganda, we have deliberately taken action to embrace organic agriculture based on its scientific foundation. And we call this agroecology, which is guided by our system's understanding of the environment within which agroecology farming is taking place. I totally believe and would like to recommend that this be taken as our driving guide, the understanding of agroecology based on the scientific knowledge of our farming environment as a system. And why? It's because if we don't do that, our cry, our aspiration, our desire to have sustainability and resilience for food systems will never exist. So we need to have the scientific basis of agroecology strongly guiding us as we scale up agroecology. Furthermore, we need to anchor agroecology in our context. In our context. We need to contextualize it. We need to customize it. And the best way to do that is for us to practice agroecology and to live it. Why do we grow it for others to live it? We must live it ourselves. If we don't live it, you and me, when we pass on, as is the natural order, it will disappear. But if we live it, it will leave a lasting mark on planet Earth, because it will be the cause for the survival of planet Earth. Therefore, as we scale up agroecology, let us contextualize it, customize it, have it in our life, live it. And the other part of doing that is to build systems. We have a number of organizations here whose activities are majorly agroecology. We have a number of academia here whose programs are agroecology. We have a number of farmers here whose activities are based on agroecology. We don't have a number of processors here whose activities are agroecology. We don't have a number of actors here from the marketing side whose activities are agroecology. We need to move in that direction strongly as well. With those few remarks, I thank you very much for listening to me, and I wish us to live and grow a resilient food system based on a scientifically driven agroecology. Thank you very much.
We are now moving into the remarks of the FAO country representative, as well as the high-level panel discussion. May I now invite country representative of the Food and Agricultural Organization, Mr. Antonio Querido, come up and make your remarks. And we are using the hashtag Agroecology UG. Hashtag Agroecology UG is the hashtag we are using for the discussions going on. And you can join the discussion through Twitter and using the hashtag Agroecology UG. Hashtag Agroecology UG. I'm going to invite Mr. Antonio to come and start us off with his presentation of about, I think, 5 or 7 minutes. And then we go to the panel discussion. So, Mr. Antonio, you're most welcome.
Thank you, the moderator. Good morning, everyone. Allow me to remove my mask, so next time when you see me, you can recognize me. The country coordinator of Pelham Association, Ms. Stella Lutalo, the chairperson of Regional Steering Committee of Agroecological Organic Agriculture, the chairperson of National Steering Committee of the Ecological Organic Agriculture Initiative, the Assistant Commissioner Director of Agriculture Extension Service, the Principal Investigator of African Center of Excellence on Agroecology, the representative of the funding partners, all Pelham members here and with us online, the civil society members present here, the academia, farmers, representatives, the media, all distinguished guests with us here and online. On behalf of Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, I'm honored to address you today on the occasion of the second National Agroecology Actors Symposium under the theme Agroecology for Resilient Food Systems. FAO is delighted to be part of this national dialogue to promote the understanding and appreciation of agroecology as an important approach to build resilience of agri-food systems in Uganda. We recognize and appreciate the effort of Pelham Association here in Uganda and elsewhere to organize this second national symposium amidst a global pandemic, and for continue to working to improve the livelihood of small farmers and the rural communities. This second National Agroecology Actors Symposium is being held when multiple shocks have affected agricultural livelihood in Uganda. We have seen the desert locust that for most part has spared Uganda, but also continues to threaten the country. Major floods, devastating the livelihood of agriculture and fishing communities. We have seen early this year, but later COVID-19 has exposed and exacerbated the existing vulnerabilities in the farming communities. The pandemic also has threatened to reverse the progress that we have made by countries around the globe in terms of fighting the hunger in all its forms. Food systems are at the heart of these challenges, and they are changing fast. Agriculture, livestock, fisheries account for 25% of Uganda's domestic product and employ over 70% of population. We all have seen the discussions, and most of us have been involved in this discussion, signaling an accelerated effort to commercialize, to industrialize all aspects of African agriculture. Although not a new concept, agroecology is gaining momentum worldwide as an effective approach to tackle climate change and the interconnected challenges facing food security and nutrition. Agroecology is emerging as a compelling response to the challenge Africa faces and a viable alternative to industrial agri-development pathway. Because I strongly believe that agroecology system can build resilience through crop species diversity and natural synergies across the whole agro-ecosystem, thereby offering a response to urgent challenge to climate change and resource scarcity. Furthermore, agroecology is labor-intensive. It does not require major land restructuring or upscaling, and relies on farmers to farmers and intergenerational modes of knowledge exchange, making it well adapted to structure and economic realities of African agriculture. During our first FAO International Symposium on Agroecology for Food Security and Nutrition, organized in 2014, a key recommendation was made in terms of creating an agroecology knowledge hub hosted by FAO to collect, but also to disseminate information on agroecology and enhance global awareness about its potential to guide transitions towards sustainable agriculture and food systems. FAO continue to build upon this effort of the associations like PELUM to scale up agroecology. The magnitude and urgency of these challenges facing agriculture and food system demand profound modifications in different aspects of human activity to achieve a real transformative change in sustainability. FAO Common Vision for Sustainable Food Agriculture consists in 5 general principles. First, improving efficiency and the use of resource. Second, conserving, protecting, enhancing natural ecosystem. Third, protecting and improving rural livelihoods, equity and social well-being. Fourth, enhancing resilience of people, communities, ecosystems, and the last one is promoting good governance for both natural and human systems. To enhance sustainability of food and agriculture, FAO has developed a number of frameworks, approach, policies, tools, techniques to operationalize this vision. Ladies and gentlemen, food consumption pattern exerts an overwhelming influence over food systems. Changing consumption patterns towards nutritious, healthy foods have a major impact on the value chain and markets, thus highlighting the close link between human health and environmental sustainability. Hence, the demand side of the economic activity can strongly influence by culture and food tradition which in some cases sometimes maybe prove reluctant to positive change. We strongly believe that education, however, about nutrition can play a role in awareness raising about the importance of healthy food diets and encourage co-creation of alternative dietary options contributing to change in consumer demand. The global food system is at a crossroads. Agriculture must meet this challenge of hunger and malnutrition against a backdrop of a huge population growth, increased pressure on natural resources, including soil, water, and biodiversity loss, and of course, the uncertainties related with climate change. While past efforts focus on boosting agriculture outputs to produce more food, today's challenge, including climate change, demands a new approach. A transition is needed to a more sustainable food system that produces more, with more social economic benefits, but with less environmental consequences. You know, we all know that in many countries, agriculture has been seen as the enemy of the environment. Productive farming sectors can provide environmental benefits and service while creating rural employment and sustainable livelihood. By building synergies, agroecology can support food production and food security and nutrition while restoring ecosystem service and biodiversity that are essential for sustainable agriculture. Agroecology can play an important role in building resilience and adapting to climate change. To harness these multiple sustainability benefits that rise from agroecological approaches, an enabling environment is required, including adapting policies, public investment, institutions, and research priorities. We believe that agroecology is the basis for evolving food systems that are equally strong in environment, economic, and social and agronomic dimensions. We encourage our partners to continue with such initiatives and work closely with FAO and the government of Uganda to ensure that agroecology can gain the centrality and take the advantage of the market opportunities for organic and healthy foods that also contributes to resilience of food system. Thank you for this opportunity to share this view with you this morning. And now it is my single honor and also a special privilege to declare the second National Agroecology Actor System Symposium under the theme Agroecology for Resilient Food System officially open. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Antonio. Yes, you can have a seat. Just have a seat there, because you're going to field some questions following that discussion and presentation. I'm now going to invite, for 3 minutes each, make your opening remarks. The panel that is sitting here. And then after that, I will follow up with some questions arising out of the various comments that have already been made, including your own that you're going to make. And then I will bring to join us, there are some of the participants who are in the room with questions. We shall field those questions and then also take more from the listening audience right here. Let me start with the only lady on the panel, Connie. Ladies first here. Connie is the Assistant Commissioner, Directorate of Agricultural Extension Services. In 3 minutes, just throw in more light on what can be done, especially in light of the theme, agroecology for resilient food systems, from the perspective of your directorate in MIVE. You're most welcome, Connie.
Thank you very much. When we talk of agroecology, it's not a new subject. It has been on. And in line with the Ministry of Agriculture, there is still nothing new. When the ministry looks at promoting subsistence farming to commercial agriculture, what are we looking at? Majority of our farmers today are subsistence farmers. They are the ones who are feeding the country. They are feeding the region. The subsistence farmers are feeding the world. And this is where we see agroecology coming in strong. So it is part and parcel of the Ministry of Agriculture. And indeed, as a ministry, we have a number of legal instruments or conducive environment that has been provided to ensure that agroecology is actually implemented in this country. We need to ensure that as we undertake our agricultural activities in the country, we put in the back of our mind that we need to sustain the agroecology. We need to remember to conserve some of our crops, those orphaned crops. We need to ensure that we don't do away with some of the agroecological issues that is on the table. We've seen the climate change coming up front. That knocks on our door as a ministry. We have seen a number of pests and diseases knocking on our doors. So we all need to be alert. We need to be awake. We need to reflect on our actions. As we look into our farming system, we need to really be on the lookout to ensure that what we do does not affect the environment negatively. So briefly, I would think that's what I can give in as my opening remarks, and definitely I will add in more as we come on board. I want to thank you very much for bringing me to add on to this. Thank you so much.
Let me make a follow-up, Connie, from the perspective of extension service that you offer to the countryside. I take note of the fact that you say agroecology is not new, it has existed before, and that subsistence farming is the one feeding us. Is there a way we can, through your work and directorate, ensure that it is harnessed and made better? Can these subsistence farmers grow and have more opportunity for money from agriculture, or even applying their agroecology around the country?
Thank you, Doctor. I told you earlier that the ministry looks at improving subsistence farming to commercial. In the Directorate of Agriculture Extension, a number of activities has been done. You recall that the Extension Directorate came into being in 2015. Then we were under the NADS Extension NADS Services. But now we brought back Extension, which used to be there a long time. It has come back to the Ministry of Agriculture, and by directive of the Cabinet, it came into being 2015. We created the Directorate, and what we did then was to recruit Extension workers in the districts who were not there at the time. So to date, we have recruited about 4,000 Extension workers across the country, from district and sub-county levels. Now, these are people who are supposed to help us to ensure that extension services is delivered to our farmers. But we didn't just recruit them. We've gone ahead to ensure that we provided them with some transport facilities. Sometimes last year, I believe many of you could have seen the president launched and gave out quite a number of motorcycles and vehicles. I think motorcycles were given for the first time, over 1,014 at one go. And we had over 113 vehicles being given out at one go. and over 100 tractors. But we have not stopped. We are still continuing to facilitate our extension workers and the district local government with their different activities to ensure that we improve on our subsistent farming. We may not be 100% yet, but I have to say a big percentage is taken shape. Most of the non-state actors now recognizes that the ministry is actually in the forefront of most of the things they're undertaking. And I think this is quite beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah?
Good.
So,
Thanks.
I can go on and on and on, and because there are quite a number of activities.
I know it is your field, so you know it best. Let me bring in the chairperson, Pelham Country Board, Dr. Christopher Cheswa.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator. First of all, allow me to appreciate everyone who has joined us this morning at this symposium, those who are here physically and those who are virtually following us. This interaction, to straight away go to your question, the interaction we've had with the public sector has really played a very significant role in strengthening what we have already been doing. As Con observed, agroecology is not new. We've been doing it only, as Professor has shared, we've only been coining and giving it different names. As Pelham, for the last 25 years, our target has been to build the capacity of the smallholder farmers to utilize natural resources sustainably. Looking at what are the components of the farm where they are working, and how can they utilize the interactions between and among these components to be able to produce food, and food that is safe, and food that is adequate in volumes as well. You realize that even during COVID time, this country was able to feed itself. And credit goes to the smallholder farmers that we work with across the country, because they produce the food in surplus. Pelham currently works with over 3 million farmers through the member organizations. And these are smallholder farmers. We try to build their capacity to manage their farms, the natural resources, in a manner that will allow even the coming generations to use it. This sometimes looks like it's out of the blue if you don't have the public sector working alongside you. So the close interaction we've had with the ministry and the space that the government has provided us with has helped a lot to further the interests of agroecology. We are all aware that our population is growing very rapidly at 3.1%. So we have more mouths to feed now and possibly in the near future. Besides the population of this country, you also have markets opening up in the East African region and beyond. They are all interested in the safe food that we are producing in large numbers. There is push for agro-industrialization. But one would say that as we push for agro-industrialization, can we also be mindful of our environment? Because agro-industrialization, this nature usually, it's about extraction, it's about producing more. Producing the best seed, refine it, and then multiply it, and then open up expansive areas. These are causing injustice. You already see forests being encroached on, conflict between man and man over land, which is not enough now, conflict between human beings and wildlife. We have attempts to try and correct this, but still, land is inelastic. We will still need to work on the land that we have. So it's important that we come together, and together with the public sector, including research, NARO, the university and academia, we come together and send out the message, create the knowledge, give people the skills to be able to practice agroecology. Already we see in the markets, probably due to lack of awareness, people are selling tomatoes which they have just sprayed with chemicals that sometimes are not acceptable, others are acceptable, but they have long-term damage or harm to the environment, but also to health. We have increasing number of cases of cancer and ailments we used not to know in this country. So there is a need for us to come together and produce healthy and wholesome food. And which other way to do that than working closely with the duty bearers, which is the public sector, to support initiatives that the civil society is engaging in or is starting to be able to get food. The multidisciplinary nature of agroecology is helping those, the lowest farmer at that level to be able to produce food. You know, the seed systems that we talked, the community emergency banks we talked about earlier, are helping farmers to access seed in time and the seed that they want to produce food. What is missing is increasing the yield of those seeds without necessarily modifying them, either to affect taste or to affect acceptability or even to affect the organic markets that we have already for the food that we are producing. You know, we produce organic food, now we are selling it to outsiders. It's okay. It's okay, but are we consuming it ourselves? So, as I close my remarks, I would like to invite all of us here, and those who are listening out there, let us speak to more people. Let's convert more souls to see agroecology the way we see it. We need to take responsibility for what we are doing in our environment. We have to produce food. We must eat. We must produce material for clothing. We must build houses. But let us increase our focus on sustainably extracting resources from our environment, so we leave them for other people to use them in the next generation. I thank you very much and wish everybody to do very well.
Thanks a lot. Let's clap for Dr. Christopher. I am made to know Dr. Willie Kakuru is just traveling, and Dr. Willie, can you make your remarks on your thoughts, especially from being a consultant? Can we get your thoughts along the argument of research?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Doctor.
Great.
Can you make your comment on the topic under discussion, agroecology for resilient food systems?
Yes, thank you.
In 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, moderator, and many thanks to PERAM for having organized such forum that try to help us bring issues that people have not had deep exposure to know how they help. Because when you talk of agriculture or farming, people know they do farming either to earn income or get jobs or for their well-being. But then the question is, as you do the farming, how can you do it in a way that will be sustainable? One. Number two, how can you do in a way that will not harm the ecosystem that you are doing the agriculture in? And three, how can you do it, provide food that will not be poison to people? So that's where agroecology comes in, because it tries to bring food production which makes best use of the natural resources and the goods and services. And of course, people will always argue and say, if we have can, because if you try to accept the areas that agroecology comes in by creating the cultural, the social and the environmental economic benefits, in addition to producing food in the quantities and the quality you want, that's when the researchers tell you that yes, let's produce food in good quantities, routine ecosystem services such as pollination, pest control, nutrient and water cycling, and erosion control. And that's where we go wrong, because we produce food, but we forget the ecosystem services that sustain that food production. And I want to illustrate by a simple example that covers or cuts across the agriculture, the environmental, and the economist's eye or thought. Because if you just produce food without those considerations, you'll find that one, that's why we're having problems of pests and diseases that we can't manage. Some simple pests or diseases which were manageable, you find now they're out of control. You find the ecosystem is degraded, you can't get the water, and find you have erosion, you are not producing. So ultimately, you end up now with the natural challenges like climate change and climate variability. You find you can't manage it. And that's where, again, agroecosystem comes in, or agroecology comes in now to manage those agroecosystems, where we say the big benefit now to release most of climate change help to strengthen the resilience of the farmers and the ecosystems, and that's where us as researchers come in. I'll end up by saying I'm talking while on the way, which now makes the technology better, ecological production. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thanks a lot, Willie. We got the bulk of the message. There are those that we lost in the poor network. I can understandably so, because Willie is just stopping by the roadside somewhere along Bombo Road. But we have got the gist of the discussion. Let me bring in at this point our principal investigator, Professor Julius Mwine. He works with the African Center for Excellence on Agroecology and Livelihood Systems. I need you to string the discussion from where your colleague, the researcher, Willie, just left it. The issue of promoting agroecology farming. And like your colleague Achayo and the rest have said, agroecology is not new. The term can be new, but the practice has been going on. And what we need now that concern ourselves with is, how do we make, for a person like you, how do we make our farmers realize the benefit, the specific benefits of agroecology practice? That it is good for the future, it is good for the environment, but most especially that it is good because it can help them put food on the table, it can make them put money in their pockets if they utilize it sustainably. How do we do that? And to make the message, like Willie was saying, that we need to package the message and send it out there. How do we do that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Modulator. I would like to appreciate each and everyone who is here, most especially Pelham, for organizing this symposium. I want to thank all those who are also online, who have joined us to listen and see us. Mr. Modulator, that is a very important question. As we campaign, actually this is a campaign, as we campaign for agroecology, we also need to ensure that our farmers, and not only farmers, but all along the value chain, people realize that this is a profitable venture. And therefore, we need to do quite a lot. Where do we start from? Let me start by changing the mindset. Many of us have been trained in mainstream agriculture. And the way we've been trained is sort of single jacket training, to know that if you are doing agriculture, there are certain norms, there are certain do's and don'ts. For example, you'll be taught that without spraying synthetic pesticides, you cannot produce tomatoes, or you cannot produce any other crop. Others will be told, or have been told, that without using synthetic chemicals, you cannot store crops. So we need to start by looking at the mindset of the people and unlearn what we've been told. or what we've been taught. There is a tendency to respect our teachers so much that we want to do everything they say, and that's okay. But then times and again, things change. Like we are talking about agroecology, it's not new indeed, but there are new approaches that are coming up that we need to learn, really after unlearning those aspects we are taught. And if we help our farmers, our consumers, and all other people in the chain to unlearn such approaches and learn agroecological approaches, there is, in the end, the result is that they are going to see the advantages that agroecology is all about. Farmers are business people. The unfortunate bit is that in Uganda, farming has been just a way of life, but soon, and as the Assistant Commissioner said, farmers are becoming business people of late. And no one wants to do business that is not profitable. So we have to ensure that when our farmers are doing agroecology, what they are doing is of profit. They do not make losses as they cultivate the land, as they grow their crops, as they harvest. And how can we do this? Profit is not only in terms of money. If I talked like that to an extreme business person, he will hang me. Because all what he wants to see is money coming into the pocket. But we have to also inform our agroecological venturers that profit is, yes, in terms of money, but also in terms of environmental attributes and even health attributes. We see so many cancers coming up. The cost of treating a cancer patient is so exorbitant. The cost of treating all other ailments resulting from the effect of non-agroecological approaches are so exorbitant.
Thank you. Let's put our hands together to appreciate the panel. Dr. Cheswa Achayo from Ministry of Agriculture and Professor Mwine. Thank you so much.